There is this nagging temptation to talk about Theresa May's brand new deal brought forward, a deal that would command the support of the House by including a second referendum. Ho-hum, let's not do that, shall we? To the 65-plus backbenchers of her own that have said they will not vote in favour of it, thank you. I'm wondering how much longer you can continue as a lame duck Prime Minister before you finally step down from the carnage that has been created of your own doing, and instead have someone else step in to try and clear up your mess, make matters worse, and then have Jeremy Corbyn installed as Prime Minister who will totally fix it. If I need my sarcasm sign for that, unsubscribe please. I'm getting weary of constantly having to reference it. Instead of all of that, because quite frankly to me it is becoming farcical on a level far beyond that of a clown, I thought perhaps we'd talk about some injustice. I think we can do that. It seems appropriate we talk about something more, as opposed to something that makes you want to pull your hair out. Cut yourself, top yourself, hell, anything really that involves self-harm. Overeat? Do we want to include that as well when it comes to the subject of Brexit? I hear stress eating is quite common. So with regards to the subject of injustice, I call it that because of how the article has portrayed this, but also the sentence that he is facing. There is this married father of 3, soon to be divorced father of 3, and probably estranged for a considerable amount of time. He's a very wealthy man, a millionaire no less, has his own helipad, flies his own planes, runs a charity in fact called Air Lifeline, which one can hope he is removed from for what he has done to protect the integrity of the charity that may want to consider a rebranding and perhaps some PR. Anyway, this man was asked by a friend to teach a 15-year-old daughter how to fly, give her flying lessons, which actually is quite cool when you think about it. That is something I would love to learn. I fly drones, it can't be much more difficult, can it? I'm not putting my sarcasm sign up for that, fuck off. Well, he was giving her those lessons, but he was also grooming her. She was 15, using Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, other messaging services. He was plying her, he was building her, he was grooming to get something from her. I wonder what a 50-something-year-old man could want from a 15-year-old girl. Let's scratch our heads together, shall we, and see if we can work this out. Oh, the word oral crops up in the article, so he wanted to talk to her, perhaps? No, he gave and received, right. Well, that answered that. As time went by while she was still 15, up to the age of 16 I believe, this continued and escalated. It escalated to the point where he got her an emergency contraceptive pill, and through WhatsApp messages it was discovered he was pressuring her, in fact successfully to do so, to get an IUD. Well, we can't risk having a 4th child with a child, can we? Unsurprisingly, after a certain length of time, he was caught. And one of the more interesting aspects of this was that he set his plane to autopilot so he could go in the back and rape the schoolgirl. Now, the article, and this is where I take a big issue with this, references all interactions with the girl as sex. I fundamentally disagree with this. She is underage. It doesn't matter how many state lines they cross, she is underage. Therefore, it is sexual assault. So perhaps The Independent, who are totally one of the most amazeballs outlets for news, should consider referencing the word rape, because that is what it is. Now, I am sure many of you are asking yourselves, Omegon, what did he get charged with? What was the sentence? What is he looking at time-wise? What are the consequences? Well, it's great that you asked me that, because this man faces a whole whopping 5 years in prison after he admitted to engaging in interstate travel, to engage in illicit sexual conduct, and also receiving child pornography. I know for a fact harsher sentences have been given out in this country for child pornography. America, what the fuck is this? This is actually embarrassing. I should reference that rape law is pretty strict in your country. There are a whole host of scenarios that play out, including the age of consent. So this man should surely be looking at a rather extensive term. He should also be made to sign the register and be on there in perpetuity. I like that it says as a charge, engaging in interstate travel to engage in illicit sexual conduct. But he has admitted to fucking her. Or, as we all call it, raping. The messages they had between each other surely confirm that as well. It could also certainly correlate that with the IUD she undoubtedly has, since the messages indicate it. Considering what this man has, a tremendous amount of wealth and privilege, and I say privilege because of his wealth, trust built up within the community of those very wealthy people he lives around. This is an abuse of trust, abuse of social media, to groom someone not even a third of his own age. I know that I don't really generally take age gaps as much of an issue, but since one of the people involved is under the age of consent, I take issue. With the way this has played out, with it starting off as, quotes, harmless flirting, moving up and escalating to him asking about oral, receiving, giving, and then escalating it progressively further, he was building her to take advantage of her, and that to me is unacceptable. It shows premeditation. He did groom this girl, therefore, the sentence should be far harsher. I'm not sure which state this took place in, and I'm not entirely sure how this is going to play out because of the fact this happened across many state lines. Whether federal supersedes that of state law, I'm not sure. But one can hope that perhaps other states will then charge him anyway and increase the sentences as he completes a sentence in each state he was raping a minor, as that to me screams of justice. I am intrigued to know whether or not this will lead to more people calling for a clampdown on youths that use social media. We know a number of people who are paedophiles and or sex offenders frequent these and pretend to be something they're not. I guess the key difference here is the man was known to be in his 50s, and perhaps the girl found that to be quite nice. However, it doesn't change the fact, ew, rape, prison, enjoy it. It is what you deserve for what you have done. But I am curious to see how it plays out, because I know that a lot of parents are very anti-social media for kids, and I'm sure many will start to consider perhaps restricting it to people under certain ages. I'm not entirely in favour of it, and obviously I don't blame the sites, because I don't think the site itself or the app itself are entirely to blame for what people say on it, provided terms of service haven't been broken. Then again, with things like Snapchat, how do you regulate that? Do Snapchat keep a cache of all the messages people send each other, including the nudes, in which case Snapchat are probably going to have some underage pornography on their servers somewhere. I've never bothered to look into it, so I do apologise for seeming a bit clueless. With what this man has done, and what I have explained, along with a bit of intellectual dishonesty from the Independent, I'm very much interested to know what you think. Do you believe the 5 years he gets for or up to 5 years he gets for admitting to basically raping a minor many, many times is worthy of a 5-year sentence? Or do you believe he should get a far harsher sentence? Please, please, please let me know in the comments below. I am always interested to know what you think, as it always varies between no nonsense to some modicum of sympathy. It depends on, of course, the subject. Now, before I do finish, I will be streaming at 9:30 PM GMT over on the Moisky Live channel. I know some of you don't care that I shill, really don't give a fuck. You're clearly not the people I'm interested in plugging this to. Thank you for constantly referencing you don't like it. Link to the Moisky Live channel down in the description below. So I hope you'll have a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.